Hello students, this is me Dr. Sumal Halim, your course instructor for the subject of Introduction to Biotechnology. In today's lecture, we will talk about the process of ligation, that is the joining of DNA molecules together. Basically, I divided this lecture into two parts. In part first, we will talk about the introduction of the process of ligation, its enzymatic mechanism and different types of the DNA ligases. After this lecture, you will be able to know that how two different DNA molecules can be ligated with the help of ligase enzyme. So, let's have the introduction to the process of ligation. Dear students, as you know that in modern biotechnology, different techniques are used to modify organisms genetically by adding new traits so that new variety can be produced. That insertion can be accomplished by inserting new genes, that is known as desired gene or gene of interest, in another carrying organism, that is known as vector. Thus the combination of the two different DNA leads to the formation of another molecule that is known as recombinant DNA molecule, and this technology is known as recombinant DNA technology, that is basically genetic engineering. I would recommend you all to go through our last lecture in which we had discussed the recombinant DNA technology procedure in detail, and we had talked about the two very important enzymes. One was restriction enzyme and another is the ligase enzyme. Restriction enzymes are also known as molecular scissors that precisely cut the DNA, the desired DNA, and its carrying vector at specific sites, thus generating different fragments. We had already discussed about the restriction enzymes in our previous class. While there is another enzyme that is known as molecular glue, the fragments that are generated due to the activity of the restriction enzymes are ligated or glued together with the help of another enzyme, and that is known as ligase enzyme. That is our today's topic. What actually ligases do? They do the ligation. Ligation is the process of joining of two nucleic acid fragments together. The fragments that are generated due to the activity of the restriction enzymes are joined together through another enzyme that is known as ligase enzyme, and this process is known as ligation. Why they are known as ligase? Ligase is actually a Latin verb, that is ligate, mean to bind or to glue together. So the DNA ligases do the process of ligation, mean that they glue two different nucleic acid fragments together. The DNA ligases was first discovered in the laboratories of Gallard, Lehmer, Richardson and Harvard in 1967. What actually ligases do? They do the synthesis of phosphodiester bond between the third hydroxyl end of one nucleotide with the 5' phosphate of another nucleotide. Here you can see in the diagram, this is a one nucleotide and this is the adjacent nucleotide. What ligases do? They form the phosphodiester bond between the third hydroxyl group of one nucleotide with the 5' phosphate group of another nucleotide. Thus the formation of the phosphodiester mean that diester mean two sugar are linked together with the phosphate group, and that is with the help of by using a cofactor as an energy source, ATP or sometime NAD+. Thus a pyrophosphate and MP is liberated, and this formation or the synthesis of the phosphodiester bond is catalyzed by the enzyme DNA ligase enzyme. So what ligases do? They catalyze the formation of the phosphodiester bond between the two adjacent base pairs or two adjacent nucleotides. DNA ligases are present naturally in living organisms, and they are very essential for DNA replication and different repair mechanisms in all living organisms. Before going through the further detail and the enzymatic activity of the ligase enzyme, let us discuss the importance of the DNA ligases in the process of DNA replication. Dear students, as you all know that the DNA is a double helical structure. Okay, and that double helix is always anti-parallel in orientation. In other words, we can say that one strand is run in 5 to 3 direction while the other runs in 3' to 5' direction. Here you can see in the diagram that if one strand runs in 5 to 3 direction, the other strand will run in 3 to 5 direction. Double helix is in opposite direction because of the opposite orientation of the sugar molecules in them. This anti-parallel orientation or arrangement allows the nucleotides to complement to one another and can make hydrogen bonds and can be more stable. Now, during the process of DNA replication, there is an enzyme that is known as DNA polymerase enzyme can aid the nucleotides to the newly synthesizing daughter strand, but there is a problem with the DNA polymerase, and that is DNA polymerase can only make the DNA in 5 to 3 direction and not in the 3 to 5 direction, mean that they can aid the nucleotide only at the 3' end of the newly synthesizing daughter strand, and this poses a problem during the process of replication. This make it necessary for the two new strands, which are also anti-parallel to their templates, to be made in slightly different ways. Let us have a look to the process of replication. If you look at the process of replication, on one new strand that runs in 5 to 3 direction toward the replication fork, the process of replication is quite easy one. This strand is made continuously. Here concentrate on this strand that is in 5 to 3 direction. It is the easy one. This strand is made continuously because the DNA polymerase is moving in the direction of the replication fork. This continuously synthesized strand is known as leading strand, and that is the quite simple one. However, the problem is with the another strand. Another strand that runs in 5 to 3 direction away from the replication fork, and that is known as lagging strand. This strand is made in fragments because the fork, here you can see the fork moves forward while the DNA polymerase is moving away from the fork and must come off and reattach on the newly exposed DNA. So this tricky strand will made in fragments in the discontinuity and will form in a fragments, and that fragments are known as Okazaki fragments. Actually they are named for the Japanese scientists who discovered them, and this strand is known as lagging strand. So why lagging strand is made in fragments? Due to the activity of the polymerase enzyme, because polymerase enzyme can synthesize the newly synthesizing daughter strand only in 5 to 3 direction and not in the 3 to 5 direction. So the newly synthesizing strand will be made in the fragments, and that is known as Okazaki fragments. Now there will be gap exist between the fragments, and that gap have to be fulfilled. So for this purpose two different enzymes are used. The one is the polymerase enzyme and another one is the ligase enzyme. Before going through the detail of the ligase enzyme, it's very important to know about the difference between the gap and the nick. So what's the difference between the gap and the nick? Gap and nick both are discontinuity in DNA. However, gap is the discontinuity in one or two strands due to the loss of one or more nucleotides, while nick is the discontinuity in a double-stranded DNA molecule when there is no phosphodiester bond between the adjacent nucleotide. Let us make it more clear with an example. Here you can see in this sequence that the two nucleotides are missing that must be complementary to the thymine, and that must be adenine. Mean that in this sequence the nucleotides are missing. It means that the gap is existing in the DNA strand. So what we need to fulfill this gap? We need the nucleotide as well as a molecular glue that can form the phosphodiester bond. So for the addition of the nucleotide we need the polymerase enzyme, while for the linkage or for the attachment we need the ligase enzyme, that is the molecular glue. So this means here is a gap in the DNA strand. While if you look the another sequence, here you can see that for each base there is a complementary base. However, if you look at this region here, between the A and G a phosphodiester bond is missing. So mean that only molecular glue is required, and that is the ligase enzyme. So the point that you should remember here is that the ligase can fill up the nick but cannot add the nucleotide to the gap. For the addition of the nucleotide you will need a polymerase enzyme rather than the ligase enzyme. So ligase enzyme can only make the phosphodiester bond between the adjacent base pair. Now let's go through the mechanism of the ligase enzyme. The mechanism of DNA ligase is to form two covalent phosphodiester bond between the 3' hydroxyl end of one nucleotide with the 5' phosphate end of another nucleotide, and two ATP molecules are consumed for each phosphodiester bond formation. Generally, DNA ligation entails in three sequential nucleotidal transfer steps. In the first step, nucleophilic attack on the alpha phosphorus of ATP or NAD by the ligase results in the release of pyrophosphate, and here the formation of a covalent ligase adenylate intermediate complex occur, in which AMP is linked via a phosphorus and nitrogen bond to the N-terminal of the lysine. In the second step, the formation of the DNA adenylate occur. How? In this step, the AMP is transferred to the 5' end. Here you can see the AMP is transferred to the 5' end of the 5' phosphate terminated DNA strand to form a DNA adenylate complex. In this reaction, 5' phosphate oxygen of the DNA strand attack the phosphorus of the ligase adenylate complex, and the active site of the lysine is the leaving group. Now, in the final step, the joining of the polynucleotide occur. In this step, the ligase catalyze attack by the 3rd hydroxyl group of the nick on DNA adenylate to join the polynucleotide and liberate the AMP. So this is how the phosphodiester bond formation occur between the adjacent nucleotide. Now let's have different types of the DNA ligases. DNA ligases are grouped into two families: the ATP dependent ligases and NAD plus dependent ligases, and their distribution is actually based on the substrate required for the ligase adenylate formation. All cells have the DNA ligases, but two DNA ligases are very important, that is particularly E. coli DNA ligase and bacteriophage T4 DNA ligases, with a much wider application in the field of biotechnology. So let's talk about it. The first is the E. coli DNA ligase. E. coli DNA ligase is encoded by the LIG gene, and DNA ligases, these DNA ligases are present in E. coli as well as in other prokaryotes, and these DNA ligases use nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide as their cofactor for their energy source to create a phosphodiester bond. However, the problem with this is it doesn't ligate blunt-ended DNA except under certain conditions, like of molecular crowding with polyethylene glycol, and it also cannot join RNA to DNA efficiently. The activity of the E. coli DNA ligase can be enhanced by the DNA polymerase at the right concentration. However, the enhancement only works when the concentration of the DNA polymerase are much lower than the DNA fragments to be ligated. Another type of important type of DNA ligase is the bacteriophage T4 DNA ligases, and they are the ligases extracted from the bacteriophage T4, that is the bacteriophage that infects the E. coli bacteria. The T4 ligase is the most commonly used in laboratory, and it have the ability that it can ligate either cohesive ends as well as the blunt ends of the DNA, and it have also its ability that it can ligate RNA and RNA DNA hybrids. It can ligate blunt-ended DNA, that is with much more efficiency than the E. coli DNA ligases, and these T4 DNA ligases, which are extracted from the bacteriophage, they utilize ATP as their cofactor for the energy source rather than NAD, unlike that of E. coli DNA ligase. This is all about the introduction of the DNA ligases, the process of ligation, its types and its enzymatic mechanism, and its importance in the living organisms. We will talk about the factors that affect the process of ligation and its application in the field of biotechnology in our next lecture. Till date, take care and thank you.